their little knee might hit my stomach or their elbow, or, just the force of their body coming in for a hug, it would send me reeling with pain. And I mean, I knew something wasn't right. Like my abdomen area, it is not supposed to feel like this. And if they just, if you're sitting on the couch, and you know how little kids are, they'll just flop on, just hop on your lap or just sit down. Girl, that simple action right there, like my eyes would water. I would be like, oh my gosh, you can't sit on mommy like that. You can't hop in mommy's lap like that. So they had started to handle me like paper, like I was gonna break. Like I had said it so much that they would be like, oh mommy, we don't want to hurt your tummy. Oh mommy, they would come in for a hug, and then they would rethink it, and they'd be like, oh mommy, is it okay to hug you? And I'm like, gosh, this is breaking my heart, because they can't even, not only is my way of life being affected, but theirs is being affected too, because they see that something simple as a hug is causing mommy pain. And that just shouldn't be so. So in 2010, CeeLo urged me to go to the doctor. He kept telling me, and then finally he made the appointment. He said, you going, you got an appointment on Thursday at 1:00 and you're going. Whatever time it was. And he went with me to the appointment, and it was basically, I think it was like an OB appointment, and they, did an ultrasound, and she was like, oh, well, I can't tell you exactly what's going on, but it kind of looks like you may have like fibroids or something, I was like, oh, okay. So she sent me to another specialist. She was a nurse practitioner, so she sent me to another specialist, maybe about a month or so later. And they said it could be endometriosis. They said it could be I need to see a gastroenterologist. So I went there. So basically, let me just wrap it up. I went to 15 doctors over the course of 2010 to 2014 until I actually found a doctor who was able to diagnose me. So 4 years, 15 doctors, Dr. number 16, Dr. number 17, and Dr. number 18. Those were the ones who actually helped me, who actually did something, diagnose my condition, treat my condition, and support me while I was going through. So basically, I had endometriosis, very, very rampant, and it caused things like back pain. However, I had chronic back pain on my own, not even associated with endometriosis or fibroids or ovarian cysts, which were the things that were basically plaguing my body and controlling my quality of life. It was drastically, like it just ate away at who I was. Like I couldn't even be me. Like it took so much of my joy, and not to mention the not knowing. So for those 4 years where I went to all of those other doctors, doctors sometimes can be insensitive. And I had one doctor tell me, oh, you're depressed. You're making this up. You don't really, this is not real. Like you don't have like endometriosis. You don't have headaches. You don't have, this is a symptom of your depression. And looking back, I was depressed. I was, because I didn't know what was wrong with me. And it wasn't, they put me on some depression medication, but that wasn't my issue. That was an issue that came from this chronic pain and this chronic illness, because I was so beat down by not knowing what was wrong with me. Like, imagine knowing that something ain't working right, but you don't have the tools to fix it. And the people that have the tools to fix it are telling you that nothing's wrong, that you're not broken down, that you're running just fine. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. Like I can't even sleep. I still suffer with insomnia because the pain is so unrelenting. It never stops. It never goes away. It is always there.
Mhm.
So since 2010, and it is now 2021, it is
Mhm.
still there.
Mhm.
And although it mitigated at times, and it was just trying to learn what was wrong with me. I'm like, can anybody just tell me what's wrong? Can you just tell me
Right.
what's wrong?
Or
Then I'll be all
listen
right.
to me. Yes, when
Mhm,
you're, and we're seeing that more now, that the conversation finally is being had about African American women who,
mhm,
in the, when we go to the doctors and we say we're in pain, and it's sometimes dismissed as, like
mhm,
you said, oh, that's in your mind, or you're not really, or that's not really happening. And then for you, 15 doctors later, and then finally 16, 17, and 18 say,
mhm,
oh, here it is. Here's endometriosis. Here's this and that. But look, that time, 4 years of
mhm,
not having any solution or resolution because of that. And I do believe that this is an important part of your story, is for
mhm,
other women, first of all, to keep going and keep insisting and keep pressing, because you know your body. Nobody can
mhm,
tell you you're not in pain. It's just insane to
mhm,
even hear it. But it happens so often, even today, and it's still
mhm,
happening. So I think this part of your story will encourage anybody listening, anybody watching. Don't let anybody tell you what's not wrong with you about your
mhm.
body, because you know exactly what you feel in your body and in
And
your
you
mind.
know when it's not right. You know
Yeah.
when something's not right. You can tell, even if you're not, a spiritual person or not in tune with spiritual things
Mhm.
physically, you
Right.
know when something's not right.
Mhm.
So throughout that process, it it was just it was so um, life hindering that I could no longer even focus on a corporate job. I could not even focus on trying to trying to come into work, because I would literally be at my desk in so much pain that I would be doubled over laying on my desk,
Mhm.
and my boss would come around and see me laying down, and I'd be like, I'm just having a moment. I'm just having a moment. I just needed 5 minutes or whatever. But they saw that I was going down, 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 down. I was not that bright, perky, fun, happy-go-lucky person that they hired. I was not her anymore. That pain took a toll, and the not knowing took a toll. So eventually, I wasn't in corporate America anymore. And if you had looked at my calendar, what you would see would be a whole slew of doctor's appointments for the whole month, from
Oh.
gastroenterologists to physical therapists to different OBGYNs. You would just see a whole bunch of doctor's appointments, to the point I just got tired of going to doctor's appointments because no one had answers. But
Mhm.
I couldn't live without knowing what was wrong with me.
Mhm.
And nights were the worst because you can fight through. I say anybody. If I'm busy, I'm gonna just keep going. If I'm busy, even if I have a
Mhm.
headache, if I have back pain, if I have sciatica as well, but whatever is going on physically with me, as long as I'm busy, it's like I can mute it, I can put it on mute, and I can continue to work and focus on whatever I need to focus on. But once I lay down in those nighttime hours and everything's slowed down and everything's quiet, man, that pain is so loud. That
Mm.
pain is so loud. When I tell you the sleep deprivation, the insomnia, one of the conditions that I was diagnosed with is a bladder issue. And so I
Mhm.
was constantly and still constantly am going to the restroom all throughout the night. One of one of my doctors had me keep a log of how much I went to the restroom from the time I laid my head down to the time in the morning. It was some crazy. Like every 20 minutes, I was, and I wasn't asleep. So mind you, it wasn't like, oh, you go to sleep for 20 minutes and you wake up, oh, I got to go use the bathroom. No, I never went to sleep.
Oh
So
my.
I would finally fall asleep maybe around 5 o'clock in the morning. And by that time, it's almost time for me to get the girls up and get them started to school. So it was like one big rat race of pain, insomnia, pain, not knowing. It was just,
Exhaustion at this
it was
point.
exhaustion, frustration, depression, sadness, anger. Um, it was so bad. I'm glad I'm
Mhm.
through it, but because it didn't seem like it was ever gonna stop. It
Right.
didn't seem like it was ever gonna stop.
Right. That's all right. Take your time. Take your because someone out there may be going through the exact same thing. So take your time and share your story.
And even though at that point, 2014, excuse me, I found out what the conditions were. So great. Now I can have a plan of attack with my three doctors that are finally on my team.
Right.
And they told me, you know, our job is to get your quality of life back. That's our job, is to get you back to some semblance of a normal for you. Now realize these are chronic illnesses. Of course, when you have chronic illness and you have Jesus, I'm going with Jesus. Now they tell me, oh, chronic back pain, that's for life. Oh,
Mhm.
endometriosis, that's for life. Oh, is interstitial cystitis, this bladder pain syndrome, that's for life. There's no cure for any of these things. So
Mm.
I hear what you're saying, Doc. I hear what
Right.
you're saying, but God, but
Mhm.
Jesus. So I always have him in the forefront of my healing. I always have in the forefront of, maintaining um, my quality of life. So, back in 2014, I was still of that same mindset. And I would even correct the doctor when he would say, or she, I had multiple, but when they would say, well, we can't cure this. Now we can treat it, but we can't cure it. That's all right. I know
Right.
somebody who can cure it. That's okay.
Mhm. That's
Y'all do
right.
what y'all can do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray. I'm going to fast. I'm
That's
going to increase
exactly
my
right.
faith, you know.
Mhm.
So I'll do what I need to do in the natural, and I'll do what I need to handle in the spirit as well.
Mhm.
So bring it up to 2014 and this bladder issue. Basically, I have a very small bladder and compared to other people. So not only does my bladder fill up quicker, but it also gets very irritated from different things that I eat. I didn't know that. I thought when you eat something, it just, I don't know. I wasn't a
Right.
biology major, but I was like, you eat something that
You
it
know.
affects the stomach. You drink
Yeah.
something, it affects the bladder, but that's
Mhm.
that's not how it works. Whatever you eat also affects all systems of the human body. And my bladder was no exception. So when
Mhm.
I would eat tomatoes, which I love, when I would eat an
Mhm.
orange or an apple or a pineapple, things that were very acidic or hot stuff, which I've never been a hot fan, but if I would have, something that was spicy, all of those things would affect my bladder and it would cause me to go into what we call a flare. So when you have a flare can take you out. It is the equivalent of force, like your body's forcing you to participate in bed rest and you don't want to. But your
Oh.
body says, I'm not going to do anything for you. And you're like, no, come on,
Mhm.
body. We got to get up. We got to
Right.
take the kids to school. Come on, body. We got to go drive, get in this carpool line. And the
The
body's
body's
like, no,
like,
you ain't.
I don't
No,
know
you
you.
ain't. You go, I
Depart
don't
from
listen to you. I'm the boss.
right. So even so foods that you were eating, because I didn't know that either. I guess when you think about it, your food is your fuel for your entire body, but you don't think about it affecting, because we always think of the bladder in terms of liquids.
Right. And that
So
is so far off base.
oh
And
man.
I had to like educate myself about this bladder pain syndrome, also known as interstitial cystitis. I just, ate up everything I could. I read articles, I read blogs, I followed people on Instagram and Facebook. I joined groups on Facebook and Instagram, support groups, because it's like, gosh, I'm, first of all, I'm not crazy, because many of those doctors tried to tell me I was crazy
Right.
and
Right.
that I was making it up. So
Mhm.
I had to find other people. I had to find my people who were going through the same thing I was going through, and I did. And when I tell you, girl, what I was going through was the tip of the iceberg. And I thought my pain was unbearable. But we talking about people who actually have had to have their bladder removed and now are living with a colostomy bag
Mm.
forever. Like they have to have this bag attached to them under their clothing,
Mm.
empty it. This is forever, because
Right.
their bladder doesn't function. At least mine functions.
Right.
And I would have to get surgery every 6 months. They would go in, they would enlarge my bladder, like blow it up like with this balloon, and they would put medicine inside of it. And
Mhm.
that medicine would coat the inside of my bladder lining, so that when I did eat things, not that I could eat things I shouldn't, I still shouldn't eat those things, and I wouldn't, but if there were to be anything, it would not affect me as much, and it wouldn't send me into a flare as often.
Mhm.
So I learned how to manage it, but it was like every 6 months I gotta go have surgery. Every 6 months I gotta have surgery, and I did this for basically 4 to 5 years. I did that from
Mm.
2014 all the way up to 2019. So that was a lot of surgeries.
That's a lot of yeah.
And but that was minimal compared to what some of the other people in my IC group um, had experienced and what they continue to experience.
Mhm.
So I have chosen to keep those people involved in my life, not like um, I don't want to have a reminder of an issue that I'm coming out of it.
Mhm.
I'm still somewhat affected, but I have gotten to a point where I can manage my IC, where my flares are so minimal. Like I don't have them as often, but I know my triggers now. I know my food triggers and I know my life triggers. So like this week I went biking for 2 days. Why?
Mhm.
Because I want to be healthy, because I like biking, because I want to exercise. I need to exercise, but the things that I need to do and the things that I choose to do sometimes affect my health in a negative way. And that's what I
Mhm.
had to learn when I was educating myself and getting in, some of these support groups, is that
Mhm.
the very thing that the doctor says you need, if you cross that line of doing it in excess, then you're going to cause a flare. If you don't
Mhm.
exercise enough, then you're going to be lethargic and you're not going to have the energy you need. So it's always a trade-off, and you just don't know what side of the coin you're going to come out on. But I have chosen to. I made that choice back then. I'm not going to let this thing control me. Like it has taken so much of my life and my time with my girls. I can't never get that back. My time with my son, like he, grew up and moved out and got in his apartment, and it's like
Right.
I feel robbed. I feel
Mhm.
robbed of those years that I was sick and
Mhm.
didn't know why. And girl, I was in bed so much of their lives. I was
Right.
not outside playing. I was in the bed because I
Mhm.
couldn't get out, because I was debilitated. It was
Mhm.
beyond my control. My mind would say, get on up and just sit on the front porch. I go and try
Yeah.
to sit on the
Do
front porch,
something.
and I'd
Yeah.
be somewhere like laid over, because even that was too much. you know. So glory be to God, He has given me some ways to maintain.
Thank
And
God.
in treatment with the endometriosis, the fibroids, the ovarian cysts, um, my OB, she tried my GYN. She tried many things. We tried depot shots. We tried birth control pills. We tried this one thing called Lupron that essentially took me to menopause, put me in straight menopause, and it took away my cycle for like months at a time, which it helped, but there's side effects. You can't like stay on that medication long because it'll start causing all kind of other problems within your body. So I had reached the threshold of how long I could be on that medication. So I had to come off of it. So that minimal relief of that, however 6 months, 9 months, or however many months it was, I did have some minimal relief. What that did tell us is, though, if you don't have a cycle each month, your quality of life improves. It's not perfect, but it does improve. So we took that information and tried some more things. And then finally, she was like, I got nothing else. And this is a sister. I trusted her completely. I still trust her completely. I would recommend her to anyone.
Yeah.
And she was like, what do you want to do? Like, are you and Silos gonna, have any more kids? Are you thinking of doing anything else? Because if someone else had recommended a hysterectomy, I would have looked at them,
Right.
kind of sideways.
That's right.
Because that's what a lot of doctors do. They just want to go ahead and give a Black woman a hysterectomy.
That's right.
Without trying other things. But we had walked down this road together. We had gone through this healing and treatment journey together. And when she told me she didn't have any more things, options in her back pocket,
that's right.
I knew it was time to really consider it. Talk with CeeLo. He's like, I just don't want to see you in pain no more. I can't stand it. We've been living with this for how many years, and I want to see you get some relief and get back to yourself, because I just wasn't me. I wasn't me. And so in 2017, I had the hysterectomy, and with high hope that it would relieve me of all my ills. And
includes the period, which a lot of folks are like, I don't miss my period at all. But
right, that part I am glad to be free from. But endometriosis in some women is very invasive. So removing the uterus doesn't always fix all of the issues. And unfortunately, I was one of the people who fell into that category. So I am better, but I still suffer with endometriosis because it was not only in my uterus, but those endometrial cells can grow on your fallopian tubes, they can grow on your ovaries, they can grow anywhere they want. And you can have the surgery, you can go in and they can scrape it off, they can remove it, but it can always grow back. So once I had my hysterectomy, I said, I'm not going to go into no more surgeries. I'm not doing that anymore. Now, I did have some more for my bladder, but that invasive, that was hard to recover from. Now, I had 2 cesarean C-sections with my girls, and that was hard to recover from. And then having the hysterectomy is like, I don't want y'all cutting me open anymore. That's enough. I don't want to do this, because the recovery time is so long and it's painful. It's equally as painful as what I was trying to escape from. So, I still suffer with endo, it's not as pervasive, but I still suffer. The back pain, that's there. I have degenerative, what do you call it?
Disc, degenerative disc.
Disc, yes, disc. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's the LR, L5, and L4 lumbar. And gosh, he
The
is really
vertebrae.
acting up there.
Is it vertebrae? Oh, don't worry about fur baby.
Okay.
He's like, don't forget. He's telling you, don't forget about.
Right. Don't forget that part about how cute I am. But herniated disc, and something else, that degenerative disc and stuff. Yes,
Now,
hard.
was that from childhood? Is that genetic, or was there an accident? How did that happen with your spine?
Part of it is has to do with the job I work.
Okay.
Being in a seated position, having that pressure that sits like I'm sitting now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting here and that weight is compressed down, and the weight of it is sitting on my lumbar, and that part of my spine has just weakened over time. And I've always been very active. So one of my doctors thought that it may have been, well, my physical therapist thought that it may have also been, I was always dancing in high school. I was on drill team. So from 7th grade all the way up, I've been in some form of dance, whether it's drill team, whether it's step team in college, whether it's, dancing with Pomoja in college, whether it's, I've always been like active. So exercise, running, and even that impact that you're putting on your feet when you run, and that impact that you're putting on your spine when you run. I love to run. Those are active things that I think have contributed to the back pain. But I also had back pain started in 2010. In 2017, I got rear-ended in a car accident. That just added fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And last year in 2020, not even a whole year, me and Silos were in a very major car accident where we almost didn't leave that scene. It could have been so life-ending. We got clipped on the front of our car, on the wheel, my passenger side, and it sent our car into the median on 285. So we crashed into the median. And when I tell you the angels were strictly encamped around us, I always declare that scripture, our lives are redeemed from destruction. Right. Angels encamp around us. I'm declaring that every day throughout the day. So when we walked away with no broken bones, with no nothing detached, everything was attached the way it was supposed to be. Wow. Now we had issues, and we are still recovering from the impact of that accident. But our head is still attached. We got all our fingers, all our toes. I have this scar on my neck, but other than that, God saved our lives. There are people who crash into concrete walls and do not walk away from it.
No, ma'am, they do not. That's right.
All of the airbags deployed. Thank God the airbags deployed. But part of that came with our injuries too. But it inflicted some injuries when those airbags deployed. I think that's where this scar came from, was from the airbag. But thank God, because it saved our lives. But even with that, it contributed to the already existing back pain. It contributed to the already existing sciatica that I have in my hip and my leg going all the way down. So, I be like, Lord, now, can I have a word? Now, I'm already dealing with all this other stuff, right? So why are we going to be adding more stuff to it for you to heal me from? Like, can I just receive all the healing at once? But honey, there's a purpose for the pain. So that's, where I sit kind of now with the chronic illness and the chronic pain issue. Yes, it's still an issue. Do I let it ruin my life? No. Do I let it run my life? No. Many days I am hindered, but I will never be stopped. It ain't never gonna stop me.
That's right. That's exactly right. There is purpose in it. You have you talked about too, controlling it with what you put in your body, and that led, or did it lead with your bladder and everything else with just being stronger? Did that lead to your vegan journey? Tell us what got you on the vegan road, because you know country girls like to eat meat. We like to cook meat. We like to smoke ribs. We like to fry fish.
Okay.
So now, how did we go vegan?
Well, I will tell you this. I I think what started it is I messed around and watched the documentary on Netflix.
That good
And and I was like, let me back up a little bit. With IC and being diagnosed in 2014 with the bladder pain syndrome, interstitial cystitis, with all of that, I had already like scaled back my intake a lot, but I didn't cut out meat. Like I didn't think certain meats were an issue. I just thought the way that I seasoned the meat was the issue. So I couldn't use a lot of spices. I couldn't use a lot of things that were going to irritate my bladder or my stomach lining. So I did scale down a lot. And a lot of things I love, like corn on the cob and just things that naturally have allergens in them, like wheat. I started buying a lot of things that were gluten free and soy free and things like that back when I was trying to control my IC.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like a far stretch to go vegan. But when I saw this particular documentary, and it was Dr. Sadie, and I was watching some stuff on YouTube, and I just couldn't get enough because I love learning. So I'm like, now this is going to benefit me. I need to look into this because I had heard about keto and paleo and all this stuff, and I was like, I don't really know if that's going to work for me. But this vegan thing, like, and then when I was doing my investigating, I saw the videos and the documentaries. I saw Cowspiracy of how the poor little baby cows are treated and how the pigs are treated and the chickens and the farms and how it's graphic. But I needed to see it. I needed to see it because I now have a pet and he is my baby. And I know when he's in pain. His name is Milo. Do you hear me talking about your boo? But
yes, I do.
but when I tell you that he knows how to seek comfort, he knows how to give affection. I can tell when he's scared, when there's fireworks or loud noises. I can tell when he's playful. Yes, he's an animal, but I know he has feelings. And when I watched that documentary and more documentaries, I kept watching them because I wanted to shock myself into action, and I did. I'm like, I can't eat that. I can't. Mm-hmm. Basically, you're eating death. You're eating trauma. You're eating. This was not a good death. This was not. Is there such a thing as a good death? Like all that they have to go through to get to my plate. I can't. It like turns my stomach. And do I still like the taste? Yeah, ribs are good. Yeah, they do taste good. Like it's a price that I don't want to pay that. Somebody else can pay it, but I don't want to because I've seen it. Like I've saw, and you can't unsee it. Once you,
I was about to say, once you see it and hear it, then that's it. So y'all listening and watching now, if y'all still eat meat, don't go watch this.
Cowspiracy. Watch it on Netflix. Watch.
Y'all might not be eating steak tomorrow. You might give it up. But maybe that's what you needed was for your system.
It was. That was the initial, like I wasn't even thinking this is going to help me with my health issues. I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking like I shouldn't be eating this anyway, and it can only help.
Mm-hmm.
This can only be a benefit. So once I started the vegan journey, and implemented it within our household and started buying things that were vegan, some of that stuff was nasty, but some of
Yes,
it was
baby, I've had
good.
some. Oh.
you know, I find that when I personally stick to whole foods, things that I can prepare, we go through a lot of, fresh fruits and vegetables and things that I just prepare myself. Girl, I was even
Mhm.
making vegan cheese. Now,
You
I
can
got
make
quite
you
good at it
make
too.
cheese.
Yes.
Really? You
I
gonna have to
learned
hook me
how to
up
make
right
my
here.
own
Some of your
cheese.
cheese. Yes, I'm gonna have to have some now.
Well, some of it that you buy, it took me a
Mm-hmm.
while to find like a shredded cheese or a sliced cheese that is actually good. And I found one. Woo, it's so good. I found one. And so I don't make the cheese as often, but when I did make it, it's more of like a cheese sauce. It's more like a dip that you would use like with tortilla chips and, some good vegan ground beef or something, but not ground beef,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah,
vegan.
right.
So it's something that you would use with that. But I found as I went and as I started cooking the whole foods and as I started preparing more foods that I didn't have to cook and just raw foods, like I started
Mm-hmm.
feeling better and I dropped weight like you wouldn't believe. I didn't even try, and I dropped like 20 pounds the first 2 or 3 months that I was vegan,
Oh my.
and I wasn't even trying. So I'm like, the benefits definitely outweigh the sacrifice. The sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
is not eating meat that's
Mm-hmm.
been traumatized and killed and horrified before it met its end,
Mm-hmm.
or just eat vegetables and
Right. Which
grains.
veggies are
And
good
I can,
anyway.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
a big veggie person too. But let me tell you what happened. The wonderful thing that happened was that I started to feel better. I
Mm-hmm.
started to feel lighter, like I could sleep. Oh my gosh. When
That
I tell
insomnia.
you,
Okay.
I
Yes.
could sleep, I could rest, I could straight up go off into a good nap and I'll be asleep till in the morning. So the benefits, I just, I just, I felt better and there was
Mhm.
a huge difference. And then I realized this could have been the key all along, like to
Mhm.
just living a whole food type of life where it, in a good way, infects the rest of your life in a good way. Like my
Mhm.
quality of life has increased exponentially. I am not completely, without having a flare every now and then. I'm not completely without back pain. I'm in pain right now, but I'm not to a point where I have to be bedridden. I'm not to a point where I have, now I do have those days, but I'm thinking that I kind of got a balance now and I'm kind of getting back to me. I'm learning who I am at this point. I'm learning who I am as a vegan. I'm learning who I am as a person, as a recording artist, as an actress, a person who's getting back to me. Like this is a new me. I don't know her. I'm getting to know her. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's right.
I
Yeah.
don't I don't know this beauty. This beauty is
Mm-hmm.
new. She is evolving. She is emerging. Even as we
Mm-hmm.
speak, she is, you know, forever in that butterfly state. I'm coming out of this cocoon one more
Cocoon. That's
time.
right. That's right. Ever changing, always evolving, because that's what
Mhm.
life is. That's who God is. God is
Mhm.
always just giving us so much evolution. So
Mhm.
now, so how's the family on the vegan front? Everybody eating vegan?
Well, what had happened was we started out together.
Yes, yes.
And no, I kind of, hubby, he's been with it all along. He actually
Mhm,
gave me a book um quite some time ago. I think the name of it is something to the effect of Why Christians Get Sick. And I read
mhm,
it cover to cover. And
mhm,
I think the author, I can't remember the exact author's name. But anyway, I read the book with him. Like we sat there one afternoon. He read a page, I read a page, and he was like, Beauty, I want you to read this. This is really going to help you. This is years ago. Because he has always said that diet contributed to my illness. He's always said that. Mm-hmm. And I be like, I don't even really be eating nothing that bad. Mm-hmm. Right. But he's always said it.
Yeah, what you do, it does enough damage for years in your system. It doesn't matter how often you eat it, it's still in there just going ham.
Churning, literally going ham.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So he was not hard to convince at all. He was like, I'm on board with whatever we need to do. Let's buy whatever we need to buy. So we'll have it here in the house, and we're not, we're scrounging looking for a pack of cookies when no, you got some grapes, you got some clementines, you got some apples, you got some cherries, you got some watermelon, you got a lot. If you want something sweet, if you want something salty, we got some cashews, we got some pistachios, we got Brazil nuts, we got pecans, we got it all. So we developed a way to shop so that I do my nice little list, and we introduced it to girls. Now they did not. Let's see. My youngest was more work to convince, and I needed to give her more choices. And I found out along the way that, when you learn, you just find out different things that you can offer them that are vegan. At the beginning, I didn't know a lot. So our choices were very limited, and our palate was like, right. No, so it was a lot of trial and error. So I think if I had known more in the beginning, I may have been able to help them embrace it more. But because what I presented to them was not very tasty in the beginning, it was a harder sell. Yeah. But where we are with it today is that most days, well, I can't say most days, some days we are completely vegan as a household. Mm-hmm. We won't do any meat, or if we do meat, it will be some type of vegan meat. They have so many options now.
Yes, they do.
So, there's vegan fish fillets, there's vegan everything you want. Chicken, pork, it's vegan everything. But what I have to say about that is in the beginning, I tried to stay away from, because it's still processed. It's still processed food in a bag that's frozen or what have you. Even if it is vegan, you still have to be careful. I still try to make myself be careful about not eating so much processed food, and let my focus be on what I can prepare and cook that's fresh from the produce section. That's my focus. And I think that's where I really get the best quality of energy. It gives me more like vitality when I eat that way. When I start making the frozen chicken, unchicken, or when I start making frozen vegan beef and stuff, it's good and it's convenient and it's a good way to get the girls to eat it, but it's still processed. So, you just have to have a good balance of trying to figure out what's going to work best. And we still sometimes buy them regular food. Can we have regular food? What are we doing for Thanksgiving? Can we have regular food for Thanksgiving? Are you gonna make it vegan style? Because I make a mean broccoli casserole, but they do not want that vegan cheese. They do not want that vegan cheese up in the broccoli. Can you make it for real the regular way? So it's a balancing act.
Yeah, you have to find the right. I found, because my son is allergic to dairy, so. And both of them are allergic to nuts. So I have found a really good vegan macaroni and cheese that it was good. When I cooked it up, he's like, oh, because he's never had real macaroni and cheese. He had no comparison.
Oh,
but it was very good. But it took, like you said, you just have to try different brands and try different blends and figure out what tastes good to your family and to you, and then you just figure it out. But he was like, oh, this is good. He said, but I guess I wasn't missing anything with mac and cheese. I don't have to have it anymore. Me and Mama were like, we're vegan. But it is. It's a lot of options out there now, and it's just a matter of reading the labels still to watch the sodium, the soy, and all the
Mm-hmm.
additives. But once you find something good, it's good.
Yes,
So
yes, yes, yes.
that's the thing. And then teaching the kiddos, I let them decide, what do you want to eat or whatever. Because I'm not vegan. I think I'm more leaning toward more pescatarian probably because, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
still eat meat every now and then, but I'm getting there because I gave up meat
Mm-hmm.
for 60 days and it wasn't
Bravo,
hard. It was
bravo.
not hard at all. It really wasn't. And I was like, I thought it was going to be, but once you stop eating it, you really, about 20 days in, you don't miss it.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
you get to me, if when I have tried, for
mhm.
instance, I'm not like the good little vegan on the corner. That's not me. You know,
Mhm.
I backslide, would you call it?
Uh-huh.
But or even give in to like pressure, family pressure. It's
Mhm.
different. Like coming from the country, coming from a big family that loves to eat. Whenever we get together, that's all we're doing is eating. We just eat. You know, my
Mhm.
family comes to visit, my sister, my mom. If I go visit them, we're always eating. So
Mhm.
for them to now have this vegan version of me to show up, it's different. Oh, you don't eat that no more. Oh, I forgot. You don't want none of this chicken. Ooh, this chicken good. Ooh, it's so good. Well, it's gonna have to be good to you because I don't want any. You know, but there have been times, for instance, Christmas or Thanksgiving, and we're gathering, and just recently I was home to my sister's house for something. We had, I forget what holiday it was around, but of course we're still, social distancing and all that stuff. But when you got to eat, you have to take your mask off and eat. So
Yes.
I tried some of this pork
Mm.
because pork used to be
So
my
good.
thing. Pork
Right.
ribs, pork chops, even after seeing the
Mhm.
videos, even after I know what these poor little piggies go through. Oh,
Mhm.
it's, I even saw
You
one
don't let me
video of
watch
them
it. I
like
gotta go watch it.
running. No, they like run away. And then if they don't die from whatever the shocking, they put them in this machine and they hold their heads and they shock them. And if they don't die from that, they literally, they shoot them. And they're afraid. Like you can see the fear, like they're running
Oh,
because they just saw the other dude, the other pig up there. You saw what happened to him.
right.
So they're smart. Pigs are smart. Animals are
Mhm.
smart. Cows are smart. They have an
Mhm.
intelligence level. And so anyway, so I messed up. I took a little bite of this pork. Do you know that stuff was so nasty? And it made me feel so sick. And I was like, oh, I can't eat this. Oh, I
Oh.
can't, I can't, I can't. I was like, somebody else will have to eat this. We had paid money for it and everything. I said, I cannot eat this. Because
Yeah.
it wasn't even the thought of the documentary that I saw. It just tasted horrible. It tasted like
Mhm.
flesh. It tasted I knew I wasn't supposed to be eating it. So
Mhm.
whether it's part conviction, whether it's part guilt, whatever it is, it
Right.
no longer tasted right to me. And there have been other times when I'm in a hurry and I'm in a rush. I haven't eaten, and I'm like, let me just grab something real quick. And it's happened to me more often than not. I will get it, I'll bite into it, and I'll be like, I can't even eat this. I can't even
Your
eat this.
body,
And the
your
girls be like,
palate doesn't even taste. You doesn't even
mm-mm.
want
It
it
don't
anymore.
even accept it anymore. And the girls were like,
Mhm.
Mom, you knew you weren't gonna be able to eat it. I don't even know why you ordered it. And Chloe's like, give it to me. I'll eat it. What side did you bite off of?
Right.
I'll break it off.
Let me help you out with that, Mom.
you know, so it's become a part of, who I am. And even though, you know, someone can be cooking some bacon and oh my goodness, it can smell so good. But when I
Mhm.
think about the cost that
Right.
that little bacon had to go through, whoever it belonged to is gone now, done chopped up into many different pieces and sold all over this place.
Mhm.
I can't do it.
Right.
I
Right.
can't do it.
I totally understand. And that's, that. That makes sense. It just makes sense when when you cleanse your body and your body gets into a state of what it expects as fuel, then it's easy to just say, okay, let me just go and keep on doing what I'm doing, because this obviously is not good for me. And even if it tastes good to you, for those of y'all listening and watching, even things that taste good to you, we know they're not good for us. You know, if you can't quit cold turkey, just, you know, you can just start moderation, just a little less, little less, little less, until you're not even wanting it anymore. Because there are a lot of things that people don't realize too is, well, they do realize it, I think, now, because we talk about it so much. What you eat makes you crave those things. So if you're eating a lot of sugars and a lot of grease and a lot of fat and a lot of salt, your body starts to crave it. But as soon as you cut it out, and you get past those 2 or 3 weeks, your body stops saying, hey, go get you some chips. It stops telling your brain that you need it, because it's the cravings aren't there anymore. So but anyway, that is that's that on that. So y'all go watch these documentaries now. Get ready to just stop eating meat when you do.
But I was gonna say, just like you suggested, being pescatarian is actually a very good option. That's how we started as a family. Before it was just straight up vegan, it was pescatarian, and we really enjoyed like salmon and whiting and cod and red snapper and things that, and even tuna, to give us a good way to make that transition from just going cold turkey, having no meat. Fish was a good, and still is. I still prepare fish for the girls and for Philos. So it's a good transition, or even not transition. It could just be your mainstay. That could just, think about it. Think about it.
That's because I love myself some fish, but I discovered about myself that I can give it up. It was hard. For those 60 days, I didn't eat any seafood or any type of fish either. And I was like, I didn't pass it. I thought I was going to die, but I did. I made
Good
it.
for you.
Yeah, y'all know what it is. Introducing Beauty, but I'm not the beast. I'm the billionaire. Come on, Beauty, do your thing. Lego.
Let the beat drop, let me see you walk that walk. Standing there doing all that talk. Blah, 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 blah. What you really think you gon' do? Think I'm gon' jump if you say boo? Sneaking around copying all my moves. You got another thing coming to you. This is my groove. Make your move. Ain't stopping for nobody.